When police quickly arrive at the scene, she had just been thrown from the third floor.
Sir, come here. Take a seat.
Oh my God.
On this peaceful Valentine's Day, an entitled comedian turned into a savage monster. But no one suspected his dangerous plan until he disabled the security cameras and lurked in the shadows for hours. What dark obsessions could transform a comedian into a ruthless killer?
The best day of your career is going to be the days after you die.
1 month earlier, on January 16, 2020, downtown Los Angeles hosted one of the year's biggest events, or at least for a particular group of people. It was the annual XBiz Awards, often called the Oscars of the adult film industry. The event drew actors, filmmakers, and others connected to the industry, creating an atmosphere that was both electric and a little wild. Among the attendees was Amy Harwick, a 38-year-old therapist well known for her work in West Hollywood. Amy wasn't just any counselor, she specialized in sex therapy, guiding people through some of the most intimate aspects of their lives. She was ambitious, brilliant, and deeply dedicated to make a difference. But behind the cheerful smiles and the bright lights of the evening, a dark shadow loomed. It was a shadow that would spiral out of that night into something dangerous and tragic, the kind of fate you wouldn't wish on anyone. When Amy stepped onto the red carpet, the cameras couldn't get enough of her. But among the sea of photographers, there was one man who wasn't there just to capture the moment. The instant he spotted her, his face turned fiery red with anger. His expression wasn't just one of shock, it was a volatile mix of hostility and resentment. As he approached, the atmosphere shifted, tension crackling in the air. The man began confronting Amy, accusing her of ruining his life. His voice was loud, sharp, and filled with boiling rage. As his anger escalated, Amy tried to calm him down, attempting to defuse the situation. But her efforts only seemed to fuel his fury. His voice grew louder and more aggressive, causing a noticeable disturbance on the event. Amy had handled difficult situations before, and no one could have predicted that this encounter would ignite a chain of events, leading to a devastating Valentine's Day tragedy. Amy Harwick was born in 1981 and adopted by Tom and Penny Harwick, a loving couple who raised her in a close-knit community just outside of Philadelphia. From the very beginning, Amy's life was filled with warmth and strong family bonds. Her parents often described her as a girl with a big heart and an unstoppable drive, always striving to chase her passion. As a teenager, Amy stood out not just for her kindness, but for her vibrant and adventurous spirit. She was drawn to the raw energy of rock music, and she loved the thrill and excitement of parties. It was clear that Amy had her own unique rhythm, confidently marching to the beat of her ambitions and carving out her own path in life. At 20, Amy's unwavering determination to create an extraordinary life pushed her to pack her bags and head west to the sun-soaked city of Los Angeles. It was a bold leap of faith, fueled by her dream to pursue her education and carve out her own path. But life in LA wasn't easy. She had to work tirelessly to keep her aspirations alive. She wasn't afraid to take on unique and demanding roles to support herself while she studied. She became a dancer, mesmerized audiences as a fire eater, sharpened her skills as a photographer, and even stepped into the world of modeling. For Amy, it wasn't just about survival, it was about growth, creativity, and proving to herself that she could rise to any challenge life threw her way. After years of relentless perseverance and tireless dedication, she completed her psychology studies and emerged as a well-known expert in sex therapy. With her profound empathy and unwavering passion, Amy became an anchor of support for those seeking help and navigating some of the most intimate and challenging aspects of their lives.
You might want to speak to this woman, Dr. Amy Harwick, she's a licensed marriage and therapy family therapist, but she's really a sex therapist, not gonna lie. So,
Yep.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks for having me.
Around this time, she met Gareth Pursehouse, a man who would play a pivotal role in her life, tragically for worse. Gareth was an aspiring comedian and photographer with dreams of making it big in Los Angeles. Originally from San Diego, he had moved to LA to chase his ambitions, much like Amy. At first, their shared drive might have seemed like the foundation of a strong bond, but the reality was far more complicated. While Amy's charisma and exceptional talent made her a rising star in her field, Gareth's journey was filled with frustration and setbacks. He struggled to find the success and admiration he craved.
Okay,
Game of Thrones, first season. The brother and sister are up in the castle, and then the kid sees him through the window, and the brother has to go and throw the kid off and to kill him. And even though it's evil, I feel kind of bad for the brother, because even though he doesn't want to do it, his sister insisted.
Though he called himself a comedian, many found his humor lackluster and unconvincing. This one is on Kill Tony's podcast in Austin.
There we go. Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here in all the best parts of entertainment. We've got most of a band. We've got morning radio sound effects. Sometimes a full band when a toy kazoo comes from the ground, raises from the grave, takes over Tony and starts singing. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful time. I think he froze. I was talking to an ex from a long time ago, and she told me that before...
Talking to a what?
I was talking to an ex, and she told me that when we first met, she thought my personality meant I had a small dick. And then I talked to another ex, and she told me the same exact thing. And I just want to make it perfectly clear right now that my dick size is private.
Amy's friends and colleagues often remarked on the stark contrast between her and Gareth. Amy was widely admired for her brilliance and compassion, while Gareth on the other side as someone trying too hard to fit in. What began as a spark of love will soon reveal the deep cracks in their relationship, cracks that hinted at something darker and far more dangerous beneath the surface. For a while, Amy seemed to find something in Gareth that kept her in the relationship. But according to one friend, Gareth had a knack for mirroring. He could effortlessly mimic someone's mannerisms, likes, and interests. It's a common tactic to make someone feel understood, but in Gareth's case, it was superficial and unsettling. Beneath the surface, it wasn't relation, it was manipulation. Over time, Gareth's behavior became more overbearing. Like many, Amy carried her own struggles, including abandonment issues. At first, his constant attention might have seemed reassuring, but it quickly became suffocating. His need to dominate every aspect of her life soon overshadowed whatever had initially drawn her to him. After a year and a half, their relationship took a dark and violent turn. Amy filed her first restraining order against Gareth, alleging a shocking abuse. She claimed he had physically attacked her, choking and hitting her with his fists. Despite these horrific accusations, she didn't pursue the restraining order, and it wasn't granted. This decision left her vulnerable to Gareth's growing rage as the situation continued to escalate. Gareth's behavior spiraled out of control, leaving Amy in an increasingly dangerous situation. The breaking point came when he brutally attacked her again and wrecked her apartment. The pictures she shared painted a chilling portrait of a woman trapped in a relentless cycle of abuse and misery. The legal protection couldn't fully shield her from the storm, as her life became increasingly entangled with someone who had a volatile temper. By 2012, Amy took a brave step and filed her second restraining order against him. This time, it was granted. For a moment, she could finally breathe again, knowing she had legal protection. But as everyone knows, restraining orders don't last forever. By 2017, the order expired, and while Amy hoped Gareth had finally moved on, a part of her couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that he hadn't. Over the years, unsettling things began happening. She received cutting texts and emails. Online, she noticed blatantly false accusations meant to tarnish her reputation. She never knew who was behind, but deep down, she had her suspicions. In 2016, something even more dangerous happened. Amy came home one day to find her computer wiped clean, her files, photos, and memories all stolen. Despite these disturbing situations, Amy refused to let fear define her. She turned her focus to her passions and career, rising above the chaos that threatened to pull her down. Over the next few years, she earned her PhD and became a licensed therapist, building a reputation as one of the best in her field, where her patience, compassion, and insight supporting countless people. Amy also became a part of Hollywood's social circles. She was briefly in a relationship with Drew Carey, the host of The Price is Right.
It's The Price is Right. Here's your host, Drew Carey.
I'd like to introduce you to my brand new lovely fiance, Amy. How you doing, Amy?
Have you ever had that rush of excitement when you meet somebody new?
Though their relationship didn't last long, she remained well-loved and respected by everyone who knew her. By 2020, Amy was thriving in her field, continuing her work with Pineapple Support, an organization dedicated with helping adult film performers struggling with mental health issues. She also made waves as an author, publishing her book, The New Sex Bible for Women, which became a powerful resource for countless individuals. But even as she soared to new heights, a hidden danger still lurked in the wings, waiting for the perfect moment to strike.
Jealousy can become dangerous and even lead to violence. It can lead to death.
On January 16, 2020, the XBiz Awards took place in downtown Los Angeles. Initially, Amy hadn't planned to attend, but at the last minute, Pineapple Support invited her to join the team, and she didn't know that her ex-boyfriend Gareth Pursehouse would be there too as a photographer. By all accounts, he also had no idea that Amy would be attending either. It had been 8 years since they last saw each other, but when Gareth spotted her on the red carpet, something inside him snapped. His face twisted with blinding rage as he stormed over to her. Amy, ever composed, tried to de-escalate the situation, but her efforts seemed to bring no effect. Sensing the confrontation spiraling out of control, Amy wisely chose to walk away. Even after managing to escape the heated exchange, Gareth approached her again at her table, still intent on continuing the argument. Unwilling to let him cause more of a scene, Amy decided to speak with him privately. They stepped aside and talked for about 30 minutes. The next day, unable to shake the emotional weight of what had happened, Amy sat down to process it all. I felt very scared. It terrifies me that he's been obsessed with me for 9 years, thinking about me every day. Gareth came up behind me and started screaming. "Why are you here?" He was sobbing, his head was in his hands, he was hyperventilating, he was distorting his face up and shaking violently. Days later, things stats escalating after Gareth began texting with finding her number online. And again she replied something that's way too kind. "I think it was really good that we were able to speak last night. I'm sure there's a lot more that you want to process and say to me, but I think that was a lot for both of us. I hope you were able to hear me last night when I said that I was sorry for anything that caused you suffering and that I forgive you for the things that you did to me." Even after Amy blocked Gareth's number, the relentless harassment didn't stop. He found ways to keep texting her and leaving voicemails that dredged up memories she thought she had left behind nearly a decade ago.
I have so much I need to say. Please give me a chance to just say it. Please.
Amy shared her home with a roommate, which gave her a sense of safety. Still, when someone accessed her computer and leaked her private pictures, it became clear the harassment was escalating, so she decided to take action. She installed security cameras around the home and armed herself with pepper spray. But everything came crashing down exactly 1 month later, on Valentine's Day, February 14, 2020. That evening, Amy had gone out around 7 p.m. to enjoy a burlesque performance with her friends. As expected, the night was filled with laughter, music, and vibrant energy. While she was still out, Amy's Ring security cameras detected motion outside the home, an unidentified person lurking in the shadows. After a joyful evening, Amy returned home around 1 a.m., phone still in hand as she texted a friend, asking for pictures from their fun night out. Just 15 minutes later, her roommate, who was on the first floor, was jolted awake by a sudden scream from third-floor apartment. Panicked and terrified, he tried to wake neighbors, then made a desperate call to 911, begging for help.
Emergency, operator 434.
Yeah, somebody just attacked my roommate. Please get a cop here.
When the police arrived at the 2000 block of Mound Street in the Hollywood Hills, they were confronted with a scene straight out of a nightmare.
Hey, sir.
Hi.
How can I help you?
My roommate was attacked. I know it. I heard it. She's screaming. She was thrown to the ground.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
I think there's.
Okay, sir, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Calm down. Calm down. Other than your roommate, is there anybody else inside the house?
I don't know.
Sir, come here. Take a seat. Take a seat.
Oh my God. We need it.
Amy was found unconscious beneath the balcony of her third-floor apartment. She had been strangled, brutally beaten, and then thrown from the balcony in an act of unimaginable brutality. Despite the efforts of first responders, Amy died 2 hours later in the hospital. Her life, so full of promise and purpose, was shattered in an act of pure cruelty.
Heartbreak for a local neighborhood after a well-known therapist was killed at her Hollywood Hills home.
As the morning light broke over Los Angeles, police wasted no time in tracking down the suspect, Gareth Pursehouse. Because of his past obsession and recent erratic behavior, he became the primary focus of the tragedy. When officers confronted him, they noticed fresh injuries on his body, scratches that suggested a struggle. Further investigation revealed his DNA under Amy's fingernails, a chilling testament to her desperate fight for survival. Gareth was arrested that very day and charged with her murder. As the details of the crime unfolded, the sheer premeditation behind his actions sent shockwaves through everyone who knew Amy.
Flowers now being left here for this prominent therapist. You can see them outside the gate there. Dr. Amy Harwick became well known after writing a book, doing podcasts, and dating actor Drew Carey.
Investigators discovered that Gareth had broken into her home hours before the attack, forcing his way in shortly before 9 p.m., with disabling the Ring cameras in an attempt to conceal his presence. For 4 agonizing hours, he lay in wait, hiding in the shadows of her home. Gareth's calculated actions revealed the depths of his toxic obsession. Amy Harwick's final moments were filled with terror and desperation. As she walked into her bedroom, Gareth, who had been hiding in her home for hours, lunged at her. He attacked with unrestrained violence, strangling her as she fought for her life. Amy's roommate, unaware of Gareth's presence, he assumed it was Amy, perhaps accidentally dropping something. But then came a bone-chilling scream for help, leaving no doubt that something was terribly wrong. Terrified and unsure if the attacker was armed, her roommate made a frantic decision to leave the house and seek help from a nearby neighbor. In a final, cruel act of violence, Gareth picked her up and threw her off the 3rd-floor balcony. When investigators searched the scene, they uncovered a deadly syringe filled with nicotine. Later at his home, police found syringes of the same brand, further reinforcing the horrifying lengths to which he had gone in planning the murder. What shocked the public even more was Gareth's behavior after his arrest.
Obviously, my name is a big thing right now, so if you could sell stuff as mine to like weird collectors, you should be able to get more money for it. You know that's a real thing. And same thing with my car. My car isn't paid off, so hopefully I can sell that for more than it's worth.
Despite the gruesome crime, he was overheard joking, showing no remorse for his actions.
Yeah, all the 6,000 jokes I've written from my Google Docs, I told him to get them and then turn them into a book and sell it online as my book jokes, because I don't make money. I need to get a pencil. It sucks. I keep thinking of all jokes as usual. There's nothing to write them down with, so they're missing. But I do have a joke for you. What's the most feminine candy bar? Hershey's.
In 2023, 45-year-old Gareth Pursehouse went on trial for first-degree murder. He pleaded not guilty, but the evidence against him was overwhelming, a grim reminder of the obsessive rage that had driven him to take her life.
Now, bringing it back here live, one of the charges against Pursehouse is a special allegation that he was lying in wait for Dr. Harwick. That could make him eligible for the death penalty.
In his defense, Gareth admitted to breaking into Amy's home, but he claimed it was due to his deep depression. He tried to explain away his actions by saying the syringe found in Amy's apartment was actually meant for himself. This excuse was just another bizarre rationalization, much like his self-proclaimed comedian persona. After 7 long and agonizing hours of deliberation, Gareth Pursehouse was found guilty of first-degree murder.
He waited until she got home. He waited there for hours for her. When she arrived, she went up to her 3rd-story bedroom and got caught by surprise by the defendant.
In December 2023, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
It is a judgment and sentence of this court that the defendant shall be sentenced to a term of life without the possibility of parole with respect to count 1 for the underlying murder charge.
It was a dark obsession that burned for almost a decade, perhaps smoldering quietly until he saw her and recognized on the red carpet. When he confronted her, she reluctantly gave him time to talk. She thought maybe all he needed was to be heard. But as he watched her become a successful and independent woman, his jealousy and toxic feelings festered that would ultimately drive him to gruesome violence. Thank you for watching. Smash that subscribe and see you on the next one.